Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Appreciate you guys being here. This is a good group turnout. Maybe a few more will kind of pop in, but this gives us BJJ Boost episode 5. 2 weeks ago, we went over pressure passing, or basically like trying to exhaust our opponents when we're passing the guard. Now, I know Eric was there. I know Andrew was there. Andrew, Eric, did you guys have any success stories or any failure stories with this pressure passing concepts? Did you get any type of trial and error to test this? If you guys want to take a moment and kind of chime in on your stories at all.
Yeah, I've been dabbling in it as much as I can get into that situation. It's not something I can just force my opponent to put to be in that situation. So it's relevant for me to work on. However, I try to push it as much as I can. So I have noticed some ups and downs with it. I tend to fall back into the same patterns that I was in before. I think it's just that I'm comfortable with it. I do want to practice more. I feel like it's a good thing. I have been having some success with it. I would say more with the lower belts. I would say some of my other guys with upper belts, they got they'll get a sweep on me or something like that. But it's definitely good stuff, and I'm looking forward to working more with that. So.
I really like that you said that, you fall back into old patterns because I've been using that word a lot when I've been teaching lately. And it's amazing the patterns that we form in jiu-jitsu or in life. Like I've been telling this in all my kids' classes lately. Like it's weird the patterns that we allow ourselves to like do and then how we get stuck in those patterns and how hard it is to change those patterns. And you're doing the right thing because the reason that I feel like my jujitsu got so good was half of the week I was in a room where I was teaching everyone. I could constantly apply new techniques. I could constantly work on new things. And these things that I was researching, I could do to these newer people because I had more experience. And then the other half of the time, like I was in a room just getting completely killed and destroyed. And I could never. So, like, that I feel like made my, because you have to work on offense and you have to work on defense. And if you don't have a room to do that, it's really hard to get better. So I see a lot of people do this in jiu-jitsu, which is they don't drill hardly at all. Like, and what I mean by drilling is, the instructor, if the instructor teaches you something and you go off and drill it like 3 times, that's not drilling. Like drilling is you actively saying, I want to get better at the knee cut, and I'm going to show up with a training partner and I'm going to drill 100 knee cuts and I'm going to analyze every little detail in that knee cut. Like that's drilling. But you've got to be able to drill if you want to have offense, and you've got to be able to kind of like live roll. Like live rolling gives you, I feel like, better defense, and drilling gives you better sharpness in your offense, or at least more confidence in your offense. Rolling with newer people really helps sharpen your technique and try the things that you want to try. And rolling with experienced people allows you to like figure out what's failing in your game and then fix those mistakes, if that makes sense. I think you're on the right path. It's definitely like one of those constantly throwing yourself in the fire thing. But I appreciate that you're enjoying the calls because I think these calls are going to get better with the more people that show up and want to like put their insight into it. And it's not just my insight. Andrew, what do you got?
Yeah, so I've been loving it. I've been loving the passing videos that we've done. I feel like my passing recently has been pretty darn good. Um, I have ran into one problem though. Like I'm passing a lot of people, but I'm ending up like almost passing somebody, and then they're turtling hard on me, and that's like the last minute pressure I need to apply a little bit better to prevent them from turtling or to successfully get the full pass. But I mean, I've had success with since we did those turtle drills a couple weeks ago. I feel like that made my game to chase that back so quick off turtling, and so I mean, although it's worked okay, I've had a few circumstances where it was like I passed Brandon for like 3 minutes, and it was just like he was dead, and then the last 30 seconds he shot on me from turtle, because I cut, didn't leave, I didn't apply as much pressure as I should have, and then he shot on me because of that. So that's kind of been the thing where recently I'm my passing's been better and it's been growing, it's been developing, but that like last minute amount of pressure that I'm giving up to let them turtle, and then a lot of people are shooting off that, is what I've been realizing recently.
I started competing against this guy. I don't think he was AOJ originally, but he switched over to AOJ because he wanted to get his game to the next level. He lived out in California. And I think we faced each other like 5 or 6 times through from blue to black belt. And it's cool. He got me once finally with his strategy, but his strategy was always get the person to turtle, get the advantage, and win the match.
Yeah.
And that was like his only advantage. That was like his only. He would either try to time the guard pull and get the 2 points off the beginning of the guard pullers, because a lot of times the light feather division is such a heavy guard pulling division that he would time the guard pull, and then if he didn't get that, he would play the arm weave. So like where he would weave, grab the leg, and then grab the lapel, and he would heavy pass off this, and it would force you to go to turtle. And then when you went to turtle, you would give up the advantage so that you could break this gripping process and stop him from passing. And he won so many matches. Like it's funny that we would always come down, and I remember like I'd always get lucky and finally get the best of the match, but like he would always meet me in the semifinals or the finals, and I would watch him win 3 or 4 matches in a row by this strategy alone, like every time. And I just remember like it's an incredible strategy. It's an annoying strategy to deal with. I remember at Worlds, when you're brown belt Worlds, I had like 11 advantages on this guy that just kept turtling every time I passed his guard. He got the 2 points off the beginning of the guard pull, and then I just kept scoring advantages, but I couldn't score any points. And then like finally I got his back and won the match. But that strategy of like turtling and eliminating the 3 points is huge. But you also have to realize too that if you're passing Brandon or whoever and you force them to turtle, you're up one advantage to zero. So if the match is 0-0, you're up one advantage to zero. You have to make sure that you're staying towards their back. And then if anything gets bad, like just disengage and run away and let them restand up. But then you're at least standing in a neutral ground where it's you're up by one advantage and now you've got to play the game. Like whether you like playing the game or not, like there's a game there, and there's so many people that are playing to win by one advantage or they're playing to win by 2 points. And you could say like, oh, I just want to win every match. I want to sub everyone. And we've talked about this before. Like in a perfect world, we all want that. But there's a lot of people that aren't showing up to play that game. They're showing up to play a different game. And if you're not in the right game, like it doesn't matter how good you are sometimes, like you're going to lose. I've watched a lot of better players lose by one advantage or 2 points just because they were trying to play the I'm going to smash you and sub you game. When you have that, like keep working on, of course, capitalizing on getting the 3 points, but also like make sure you're not giving up the 2 points there in the end when you're winning basically 1-0, essentially.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
So,
and that's what I like. I took a mental note in my head. I was like, the second I took a mental note because I was like, I'm passing, and I've had this happen to more than once to Brandon. But like, I've been taking a mental note of it because it's been happening, and you know, when I get shot off, that's when I'm like, okay, that wasn't okay. Like, I need to sprawl. I need to chase harder. I need to do something. I know my pressure is wrong. That's a result on my failure because at some point along those steps in the passing where I didn't chase the back hard enough. I didn't chase front headlock series. I'm giving up something that I shouldn't be giving up, and I need to do better on that specific thing. Right. So
Brandon's incredible at that though. Brandon's like adopted my game heavily.
yeah.
Um, I'm not a big turtle fan. I don't like to go to turtle. Turtle's a last resort for me, but like Brandon's had to learn to get good at it because I forced him so much to go to turtle with my passing on him. So
Yeah.
he's gotten much better at going to turtle and being very defensive and then finding a way to come back from it. So I mean, he's a great partner for you to have for your weight class.
for sure.
But you know, we've been doing instructional videos for the last 4 calls. This call, I would like to switch it up and try something different. We're going to go into watching a match. So we're going to watch, I think it's like a 10 or 12-minute match on who's number one. It's a no-gi match. We did, I don't know, we did no-gi last time? I can't remember if we did
Yeah,
gi.
I think so.
I do want to bounce back and forth between gi and no-gi, but this will be a no-gi match. But it's going to be a competition match. And what I would like for you guys, you know, when we watch an instructional, we we kind of collect a lot of the same information, right? So a lot of times we'll see kind of the same patterns, but we'll describe it differently or we'll notice things pretty similar. But I think if we watch a match, there's something that all of us could take away in that match, and it would be interesting to see what you guys take away from it. Let's follow along and see what we take away from it. If you guys have any questions before we get started, let me know. Other than that, we'll dive into the video.
Be interesting to see if he can pull off a submission against Tyna Dalpra, who's, simply one of the greatest pound for pound gi grapplers in the sport right now.
Well, he is certainly one of, if not the most professional athletes we have.
Yeah.
I love his approach to everything. Is when I hear him talk about progression and what he's got to do, it's just uber professional. So, and he's just better every time. So it's just a testament to him that he's actually doing what he's saying. So Renee's tricky, and I think that's what he needs to be here. Nice underhook. See if he can hit a snap down. And I think there's one area that Tynan uses more judo than wrestling. I think he uses more.
Yeah.
He's better at defensive wrestling with the exception of arm drag. I think arm drag like that is sort of one that's nice arm drag to single. That's one skill set that Marcelo proved could be effective versus anyone in the world.
Yeah, Tynan mentioned that really trying to implement a lot of judo training the last few months as he injured his hand.
Yeah.
At the IBJJF Crown. Be interesting to see how that plays out in a no-gi.
I don't know if you guys saw that. I don't know if we can take that back. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Implement a lot of judo training.
Let's see.
Set that Marcelo proved.
So he does the Dante Leon right here, like he passes the arm over, which I really liked. I don't know how to exactly highlight that. But Dante Leon does this incredibly well when he's passing with the knee cut.
That's one skill set
The post right here,
that Marcelo proved.
he like shifts and kind of turns it into a Kimura grip for an underhook and then pulls it in. It's incredibly powerful. And he almost like Dante tries to like straight armbar you when he does it right there.
Could be effective.
But the neat thing that I liked about Tannen here was he kind of used that and then he reached across the head and then he kind of circled to the other side of the body. He like guided the head across there, which I thought was pretty smooth. Normally, you try to knee cut, but he tried to create like the step over right away.
That's one skill set that Marcelo proved could be effective.
Guides the head through and then comes right off to the other side. I thought that was pretty smooth on his part there.
Yeah, Tynan mentioned that really trying to implement a lot of judo training the last few months as he injured his hand.
Yeah.
At the IBJJF Crown. Be interesting to see how that plays out in a no-gi rule set, but we saw the, nice arm drag.
Yeah, the arm drags are just like guillotines, they're just equalizers.
We talked about the arm drags. Renee trying one on his
Yeah,
own.
Renee's moving him around well. He's moving Tynan around very well with his collar ties and his foot sweeps and throw bys. That was nice.
Beautiful takedown attempt there by Tynan Dalpra. Renee recovering guard right away, getting that 2-on-1 position on the arm. Yeah, now with the knee cut.
Watch that pop. No stagnant frames. Keep pushing them. Keep pushing them. Yes.
Tynan's just going to keep creeping up through the knees.
You can use your top foot to push him away.
A little long step out, but
Go back in.
yeah, he's really developed a very nice, tight passing game using near side underhooks, double underhooks.
Souza being coached by Zach Maslany and the legend Jean-Jacques Machado in his corner. The greatest grapplers in the world. Legendary Machado family. Tiny Dalper obviously cornered by Guilherme Mendes, Colabate. See defending champion Jonathan Gracie over there, who's #1 champion. Back to the action. Rene now looking to secure the leg, and Tynan continuing to pressure pass there.
Yeah,
Using a lot of movement to get across to the side.
got around the legs well to Tynan. Now he's on a front head arm. Guillotine. This is the Almeida guillotine. One of my teachers, Ricardo Almeida, is the one who brought this to our academy. You can switch that to the darts, but you got to watch it. Renee's he's gonna get to the top if Tynan's not careful here. Rene gets that right elbow to the floor on the other side.
And Rene trying to get to the back of Tynan off that.
That's what I mean. He's tricky. It's tricky. So Tynan just waited a little too long, I think, there to switch that to the darts. Now he's in above the knees.
The pop, get him off your head. Come on, let's go. What?
This reverse collar tie that he was just using is such a great way to get around the legs and then into these front head arm scenarios. Tynan had that right hand over the top as a collar tie, and again he's going to look to get by the arm. Yep, if he's going to use the right knee, there's that right knee wedges in, and this guillotine is tight, and it can get you the back because Rene actually needs to give up the back to counter that. There's the back take off that.
See Colabate and Guy Mendes in the corner, coaching Tynan Dalpra. Tynan now getting to the back of Rene Souza.
Yeah.
Nice over under grip. See the hand bandaged of Tynan Dalpra. He injured that at the crown, as I mentioned earlier on.
Tynan's got to be careful. He's really got without underhooks, Souza could either get his hips up in the air and try to throw Tynan forward, but now he's got underhooks. So he can actually go down and peel the hook when it's double underhooks. Now he's broken down.
Fucking arm bar over there. Ready. Take him right back. So he can move that hook.
And then on the back here of Rene Souza, both hooks in. Can't tell where his arms are, but I assume he's attacking the neck here. Rene trying to defend.
Yeah, Tynan's a little high with the strangle, so Rene's got to spin out of this. He spun into the.
Rene's got good back control defense. We saw that with Nicky Ryan.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, he was able to fend off a lot of attacks there.
He's out. And on a potential leg, if he can get his knee free. There he goes out.
Off.
Yep.
Tynan shoving Rene down.
There's that right arm over the top of the neck. That's just an easy way to run around to the front head arms, the front headlock positions.
I like what Rene's doing is every time he's framing and pushing off, he's just sliding those legs in between, using the knee to make a frame. Tynan's movement on top is just exceptional.
Yeah, again, going into this, it's a Katagatame, but inverted Katagatame, I call the Almeida guillotine. It's just that right knee comes inside. You can do this from all over the place, but it's just an excellent way to get to the back. I mean, it's a strangle, but you see how Rene has to give the back to get out of this? That is tight. And if he'll turn his back to get out, or he'll just get mounted. But he's not out necessarily when you go to the mount because the hip presses the shoulder in. See how he has to turn his back? Just an instant back take in that.
You see the face of Rene Souza?
There it is.
Dalpra gets the submission on Rene Souza here at WNO 26.
I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I have still a few more spots on my notepad to finish. I definitely still need to finish like what I need to look to start doing, stop doing, and sustain doing. One or all of those. I need to see like what I will do and like what I'm gonna declare to apply to my game and start testing for the week, if that makes sense. So let's spend like 4 or 5 more minutes kind of tightening some stuff up of what you guys took away from that video. You'll have 4 or 5 minutes to yourself. And then from there, we will, take our time to see what you guys thought from the video and what you took away from it. Sound good? Who would like to kind of give their revelation for the day first?
Okay. So got a few things here. That initial arm drag was pretty nice. He was hitting some nice arm drags. I love those. I've been working on them recently. So that was pretty slick. The next note I took down was that Darce defense was very interesting. How he like tucked it underneath his body. That was pretty wacky, but it worked out. So that was interesting. I wonder if he would have tried to switch to an anaconda off like the Pixley style method of going from the Darce to the anaconda, how that would have played out. I'm interested to see that. And that back take from the arm and guillotine position, that was awesome. That's not something I would ever go for like now, but it's something that was pretty cool, and I'd like to get better at because I definitely ended up there, and would rather have the back than be in front headlock most of the time. But you definitely have to threaten that choke, and I know that choke, the pressure can be difficult to sustain and have a lot of pressure with the arm and guillotine, in comparison to like a chin strap where it's much easier. So with my start, I put applying more pressure when passing. You can take the back off the arm and guillotine if the turtle happens. So I put a note about that. And just trying to prevent the turtle altogether. Also, I put stop for giving up the pressure when passing, giving up pressure in turtle, and sustain again pressure. So main thing was, and honestly, it works for what I was already talking about earlier. Applying more pressure when passing and either preventing the turtle or instantly taking advantage of it. And either chasing the back or sprawling hard, and adding that arm and guillotine like back take method would be something I'd be interested in at looking at. So I think that's about it.
Awesome. Good deal. All right, who do you want to pass it to?
Pass it to Eric down there.
Hey guys, that was a good video. So just from my notes here, I'm just gonna go through that. So I like the constant attacking when standing is something that I've been trying to focus on is just attacking as much as I can because if I'm not attacking, I'm defending. So I like that. And then the denying the attacks, whether that be they get a collar tie and you're overhook or posting on the shoulders, posting on the inside of the elbow. That's like really good stuff that I notice I kind of already do that, but I notice these these defenses and these tactics that they're using. I see patterns of other people using the same styles. I noticed as he got down to the ground, a big part of that passing is just getting past that knee and hooking the head and pulling his way through the pass, which Nicky Rodriguez does very good at that. You see a lot of pressure passing from Nicky Rod. So I notice these patterns as I watch other videos, and I see a lot of people using these things that work, and I try to slowly implement those into my game. One thing I did like is that he was on the back and he was kind of getting those double underhooks to maintain that back control. I thought that was good. I try to do that in gi. I'll get a double underhooks with a double collar grip and maintain the back pressure like that, and it's really hard to shake me off. So also I thought that arm and guillotine, the way he had that was a pretty neat sub. I don't think I've really seen anybody really pull that off too much like that. Might have just overlooked it, seen it before. But lately, I've been working from when I get into that position, I'm usually controlling the head with a chin strap or something like that, and trying to maintain head pressure and keep that something on the spine and try to keep it out of alignment, if you would. That's a good. I think that's another instead of just a like a chin strap guillotine. I can probably try to work something like that in there as well.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
it's a great video, and yeah, there's always little stuff that I pick up along the way whenever I watch videos. But
What do you feel like you want to start, stop, or sustain for the week just to like see what kind of results you get from that?
I haven't really thought too much about that. But I want to try that. The way he was working that arm in guillotine and chasing the back, where he had two options, either give up your back or give up the submission. So I thought that was really cool, and I want to
Yeah, that was one of mine
try
for
to
sure. That was I really like that front headlock series. I want to work on that too. Who do you want to pass it to?
go ahead, Steve.
Some of the things I saw are same things that those guys have already noted. The first thing I noticed was that the arm drag to single. Um, I noticed a lot of times when I'm working in the gym, I'm pretty lazy with it, where I can just grab the arm and just kind of move the guys because I am one of the bigger guys there. So I'm pretty lazy with it. And I noticed the way he shoved them. I was actually working on this the other day. And so I thought that was good to see the way he actually shucks that and isn't lazy, just grabbing the arm and kind of moving it out of the way and being able to move the whole person. So the next was the arm and guillotine to back. I saw that and it's pretty crazy. Never would have thought that was a way to get to somebody's back, which is something that I've been working on lately, is getting more back takes. And then one of the other things was the arm over the head when he was passing to stop him from being able to rotate with him whenever he was going in for that knee slice and stuff. Something I noticed myself doing for no other reason than I just thought it was something good to prevent them from doing. And seeing that him doing that at a higher level too just kind of reinstates that it is a positive thing.
Yeah, for sure. I like how you said that. Seeing him do it at a higher level, it's funny because we can watch instructional videos all day long, and we can watch flashy moves where the guy jumps off the cage and knocks the guy out and think it's the coolest thing in the world. But like at the highest level, we kind of start to understand like what you can do in competition really matters. Like nothing else matters. Like the flashy stuff's cool, but a lot of times that's what you're gonna do on like people that aren't as skilled. The real like raw technique behind stuff is what matters at the highest level of competition. And it's cool that you're able to watch some of this. And then even if you're like halfway on the same course, you're at least on the right path, which is kind of cool if that makes sense. But yeah, I think that everything you said is awesome. I think getting your game to the next level is just seeing some of these details and seeing some of these higher level athletes do it. And then, building your confidence up and then writing it down and saying it and then getting on the mats and doing it. The arm drag, is the arm drag something you do looking for the single leg, or is the arm drag something you do looking for the back chase? Would you say so?
I do it more for the back chase than the
Yeah.
single leg. I used to, whenever I was wrestling, I would use it more for a single leg. As I got older and I'm not as agile or as fast as I used to be, and going against people that are smaller and quicker, I find using that arm drag just to get the back instead of trying to grab the leg works a lot better for me. And then using that to get to the takedown, I end up more in side control than I do in guard if I have the single leg.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny because Andrew Wiltsey, I mean, he became famous for doing the arm drag to the single leg, and I know that I mean, it was Marcelo's and now Tanen's doing it, and a lot of people do it, but that arm drag to that like baseball slide to that wrestle up single leg is so smooth when those people can do it. For me, I like trying to just chase the back off the arm drag a lot of times. And then a lot of times people my size try to immediately forward roll, try to like wrestle out of it that way. So I don't know. It's definitely beautiful to watch someone execute the arm drag to the baseball slide to the single leg to the finish, but you do a lot of times come up in guard where essentially if you do get to the back and you body lock them, you come more into side control. I definitely understand that. All right, Steve, who do you want to pass it to?
Uh, Tori?
Can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Okay, so I had told Chad in a private message that the video was super choppy, but we're like getting some super awesome storms here. So I wasn't able to really watch the video and I'm going to watch it on replay. But yesterday I got the fun of working on that arm drag to baseball slide with Chad. And this morning at class, we worked a lot on using their arm drag to get a reverse to our own arm drag. So for me, it's going to definitely be for a single leg because I'm hoping to be one of those quicker, smaller people that you talked about. And that's going to be my plan for this week, with Pans being like 2.5 weeks out. I'm like, okay, we have to get me a solid takedown because every girl is going to pull guard. So they will be surprised if you try to get a takedown on them at this point. So my whole week is genuinely going to be takedowns. And my body's a little beat up from some competitions lately, but that's going to be my big strive for this week.
Just feed some different details in. The big thing that I was trying to figure out the whole time, and I watched this video the other day, and I felt like when I watched it with you guys, I am a little bit more. It's funny when you're in a group and you have people that you're watching it with, and it's not that you're competing with each other, but in a sense you are competing with each other to see who gets the finer detail of the technique, if that makes sense. So like when I watch a video by myself, I'm looking for the technique. I'm looking for what I can take away from it. But when I have this Zoom call and I have you guys on here, to me it's motivational. It's like it's a little bit competitive, right? In the sense that like I want to find that extra detail that nobody else is finding. I don't know how you guys look at it, and maybe by saying this, you guys will look at it differently in the future. But I look at it like, how can I find that one hidden detail that nobody else saw so that I can bring light to it? And then it's just like, being on the mats. Like it's a competition to me, constantly always trying to figure out how to get to that next level of technique. When I watched the video by myself, I couldn't for the life of me figure out the grip placement that he had on the front headlock, right? Like I didn't know when he came around the head what grip exactly he was using to continue to feed and keep that arm controlled in his hip, and then to force the pressure so much on the choke that it basically elevated his hips so that he could chase the back, right? So like when he's got the front headlock and he's going all the way where the arm is basically like arm dragged across and he's cupping the other side of that inside shoulder, if that makes sense. So he's fed all the way through, and then he's doing the front headlock grip he's controlling the shoulder and then doing the front headlock grip, and then using that pressure to basically force the choke and elevate him up in the air. And then he's switching from controlling the shoulder on the opposite side to the underhook on the other side, so that basically it forces the forward roll right into the back chase. From what I think, I'm not 100% sure on this. That's what I want to do. My declare for the week is to see about forcing the arm all the way across to the other side, going for the front headlock guillotine grip, and then seeing if I can get that front headlock or if that will generate enough pressure to lift the opponent's hips up so that I can chase the back, if that kind of makes sense. So that's my declare for the week. And then, besides that, like definitely I've played it where I'm cupping the head constantly on like the knee cuts and forcing the head to spin to the other side. Like those, I mean, all the details, we all took away the same details. I just want to see if those grip placements are correct from what I'm analyzing, if that makes sense. But like I said, it's not a competition, but it is, it makes it more fun when all of us are looking for those like hidden details and then we share with the group. So each call, like I want you guys to keep trying to think about what's that one detail, what's that micro detail in whatever we're watching that you can bring light to the group, if that makes sense. Because it would be cool if if 3 out of the 5 of us, or 5 out of the 10 of us came out with 5 micro details that we didn't think about or didn't even realize in the match because we kind of missed over it, if that makes sense. And I know I miss details a lot because there's a lot of times in these Zoom calls that I've had you guys bring something up that was completely different than the direction that I was looking at initially. So I think that's the whole point of these Zoom calls is, just to see the things that I didn't see and to learn from you guys. So what did you guys think this week about watching a competition match instead of an instructional match?
I liked it. I think for me, watching those guys at higher level and actually seeing some of the things I do and some of the things that I don't that are successful for them makes me stop and think, okay, I need to add that or look into it and see if it works into my game and my style of game. Because I don't know how heavy those guys are, but somebody that's probably twice as heavy, not everything works the same as it does for, a lighter guy.
Yeah, for sure. I think they're about 185. I think that's typically right. They're somewhere right in there. Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, every body type and style is completely different. You're 100% right, and you've got to know how to watch these instructional videos or these competition matches and how to apply it to your size and age. Like I was watching a video yesterday about a gym instructor who down in Florida, and it's crucial after 30 that you learn how to move correctly in this sport. Like you can't just show up and collide with the 20-year-olds and think that your body is going to survive the longevity of the sport. Like your ego is going to learn real quick that if you're not learning how to move and take care of your body and make the right choices, like you can only sustain so many injuries before the sport's not enjoyable anymore. So definitely after 30, like understanding how to see details and apply it to your game to make it best fit for you, and learning how to like constantly move correctly so that you're not putting so much negative energy on your body is something I wish I would have done when I started and considered, instead of just trying to be the cool guy of who can collide the hardest and win the best matches.
Well, I keep muting myself, and then because I don't want it to, my keyboard's mechanical, so it's loud. So I didn't want it to go through if I typed something. I muted.
I appreciate that visual perspective.
Yeah, but that's why that happened. Okay. What I was gonna say is I love watching that footage or competition footage because I feel like not only it works on like a technique level, like when you watch a technique video, you take the technique and you apply it to your game, right, and whatnot. But when you watch a competition footage, it's like when you're in the position, for me personally, it feels like I'm in that video and I can visualize it in my head and sometimes like hit the same stuff through like a visualization process of in the role. I don't know if anybody else does that, but I commonly do that. I'll like imagine the video in my head and I'll try to like just copy what I'm pretty much seeing in the video. Um, and I do find that works best. I know the topic of people and sizing was one previously brought up. When I do that, or when I watch competition footage and I try to recreate something, in my personal opinion, going against somebody that's my own size and less skilled is usually the best avenue of the likelihood that I'm going to hit that, and also it builds confidence in the way of like I feel confident in that technique, or I actually am like, I feel like I fully recreated that technique, right? So that's what I had to add.
That's awesome. That's gonna be a good reel for my reels next week.
There we go.
All right, Eric, take it away.
Yeah, I really like watching the competition video. I watch a lot of jiu-jitsu all the time. I'm just a fanatic. So I enjoy that. And I'm always looking for patterns. I might say this before, but I notice those little details and I see patterns that might work in this match or that match, and it's just like, hey, look at this high level, this stuff that's working at a high level, and there's something there, and it's like, and these patterns, it just gets repetitious, and then the more you see it, the more you start to remember and able to start implementing that in your game. So, yeah, definitely good stuff.
Awesome. Tori, anything else you got for the night or day or afternoon or wherever we're at?
So I did actually like the watching the competition as well because that kind of shows how the moves go work in real life per se. And really I've learned just from like watching high competitive people a lot that it is going to be those fundamental things that they are doing so sharply that there's just no chance that you can stop them even if you know what's coming. And I appreciate your comment about being over 30 and just having to do things right or else you're just going to be done.
The sucky part about jiu-jitsu is there's a lot of bad habits. There's a lot of bad gyms and there's a lot of bad habits. And there's a lot of things that tell you to do the wrong thing. And in the process of doing the wrong thing, it's supposed to be cool. And that kind of stinks because, you get into a concept of where you think that you've got to be the baddest in the room, you've got to be the most athletic, you've got to be the one that wins everything, you've got to be the one that, if you have an injury or you have this, like just fight through it. And the sucky part about all of that message is like it destroys your longevity of enjoying the sport and the game of human chess in your older age. Like you have a time limit on your jiu-jitsu, whether you like it or not. You could say, "Oh, I'm gonna roll until I'm 70." You're not going to roll with your until you're 70 if you have 5 knee surgeries and 20 herniated discs and a broken neck. Like you're gonna roll until you're 50 or 60 if you're effectively learning to move your body correctly and not tearing it up every week. There is a way to play the game of chess and really get yourself moving into these places safely and, still have good resistance, still have a good match, still have a good challenge, but like walk away feeling like your body got a workout instead of your skeletal frame feeling like it's not in contact, if that makes sense. I did a lot of live rolling where afterwards I could tell that my frame had a lot of like displacement and discomfort. And now when I'm walking away from live rolling, I'm feeling like my muscles got worked out and not so much like things are out of place, if that makes sense. Learning to move correctly after 30 is so crucial. Like you look at Mika Gavala right now, right? The kid's incredible, but the injuries that he's already sustaining at such a young age, it's just if it's your life, it's one thing. If you're a 17, 18-year-old kid and it's your life, 100% I get that it's a professional sport that you're trying to make a livelihood off and you're going to have to take risks. But if you have a family and you have a job and you have other things and you're not willing to commit your livelihood to this, which is going to be hard to make a life off competition jiu-jitsu, period. Then the next best thing is how can you make this the greatest game of human chess that physically and mentally challenges you every day for the rest of your life, keeping you in shape. And when you walk off the mat, you guys understand this, having that feeling of like you accomplished something, you figured something out, and it was a lot of fun. Like having my nights end like that has made jiu-jitsu 100 times more fun than just seeing who's the baddest in the room and who can collide the hardest, if that makes sense. That's just my thought. That doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. So I do appreciate you guys being on the call this week. And I think in the future we'll go and we'll start doing some competition footage. I actually have a really good match, I think, next week that we can watch in the gi. That was unbelievable. So we'll plan next week that we'll watch a gi competition footage. If you guys have any questions or need anything, send me a message. Other than that, have a good week of training. Thanks for being on the call.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you as well. It's a good time, guys.
Awesome.